Okay, so we're looking today at properties of matter and the different types of properties that exist. We have physical properties and we have chemical properties, as well as when we look at the different categories, what are some things that can fall underneath? So in general, properties of matter is just a way of describing matter. Okay, so it could be based on appearance, it could be based on how they chemically react. Okay, so we use properties of matter for a couple of things. So first off, we use them to help identify what something is. So it could be something very specific. So for example, boiling point or melting point is a very specific property of matter that identifies something, right? Remember, it's something that is unique. Or it can be just in general helping to classify substances. So knowing if something is a pure substance or a mixture or whatever the case may be, these properties can help us to kind of define what type of matter we're looking at. So there's two main categories for matter properties. So it's physical properties and chemical properties. So in general, physical properties are describing the matter, but not changing the actual particles. So usually physical properties have to do with either the appearance or changing of state, but you're not changing the type of substance that it is. Chemical properties help to describe what types of reactions that matter can undergo. Okay, and you'll notice the difference once we look at the two of them. So physical property is the characteristics that can be observed or measured. Okay, so a lot of the time we use physical properties that we use our senses to describe. So for example, color or state of matter, right? By saying something is, a blue solid, right? We're using two physical properties there. We're saying the state of matter that it is, and we're also saying the color that it is. Things like texture or smell, those are all items that are used from our senses. But we can also have physical properties that can be measured. So I know we've already talked about this before, but melting points, melting and boiling points are both types of physical properties, and actually these are both unique depending on what type of matter we're discussing. Another one that is a measured physical property is something that we refer to called density. Okay, and we're going to spend more time looking at density a little bit further into this section of chemistry. But density is, again, something that is a unique value for each type of matter. So physical properties, so notice all of these things we're looking at, we're not changing what the substance is. We might be changing the state of it, like going from solid to liquid or liquid to gas, but it's still the same components, okay? Chemical properties, on the other hand, when we look at that later on, chemical properties is essentially describing how matter can change. So for example, if something is flammable, like if we want to incinerate it or not. Okay, so here we're not changing what it is. We might change the state, but we're still looking at the same type of matter. So I've already mentioned a bunch of these, but some physical properties that we can observe with our senses, right? So color, luster is a term used to describe if something is shiny or not. So whenever possible, when you're using physical properties, you want to try and use scientific terminology, okay? So we usually don't say something is shiny. We say that it has luster, okay? So if it's dull, it has no luster, okay? Texture, odor. So for clarity here, right, what we're looking at really is how much light is able to go through this substance. So we have one of three options. We have transparent, we have translucent, or we have opaque. Okay, so transparent is another way of saying that something is completely clear, right? But it's just the scientific term for it. So transparent, so for example, water is transparent. A piece like a window glass pane is transparent. Air is transparent. Translucent is where you have some light that's able to go through, but not all of the light. So for example, wax paper, for instance. Opaque is where you have no light that is able to go through. So for example, cardboard paper or a rock, but where you have no light going through. Okay, and of course, then we have taste. So I'm going to start off by saying the physical properties that I'm going to go through here are some of the more common ones, okay? But there's actually many more physical properties that exist, okay? So I don't want you to think that the ones that we're talking about here are the only ones that are possible. There are more physical properties. I try to just pick things that are very common and will come up time and time again in high school science, okay? So first off, the state of matter that something is. So by identifying if something is a solid, a liquid, or a gas, that is a physical property, right? So at room temperature, water is a liquid. That's a type of physical property. Now, hardness is typically we're talking about a solid when we refer to hardness, right? So we don't talk about hardness for liquids and gases, but we're talking about the ability of a solid to resist being scratched or dented. So the harder a substance is, the more resistant it is to being scratched. So imagine if you have a very hard piece of metal and you try to take a nail or something and try to scratch it. Usually the hardness level will indicate essentially how easy was it to scratch. Or imagine if you have a very soft metal, it would be very easy to scratch or dent, make a dent in it, right? So you can say that there's different levels of hardness, but usually we say that something is hard or that something is soft. Okay, so malleability is again referred to when we're talking about solids. So when we say something is malleable, so malleability is like the name of the property, but when we're describing something, we would say that it is malleable or that it is brittle. Okay, so malleable means that that solid is able to change shape relatively easy. So normally we either bend them into different shapes or we hammer them out into thin sheets. So for example, aluminum metal, which we have aluminum foil, right? Aluminum foil is essentially aluminum metal that has been made into thin sheets. So aluminum would be an example of something that is malleable. So something that is brittle is if you were to try to bend it and it breaks, right? It's not malleable, it's brittle. So an example of this could be, let's say, chalk. Right? So if you try and bend a piece of chalk, it's going to break. So it's definitely not malleable. It's brittle. Okay. Melting point and boiling point we've already looked at when we talked about states of matter. But melting point and boiling point are physical properties that can be measured. And actually they are unique for different substances. So if you remember, we talked about different, we used water, and I believe we also used aluminum. I don't know why I keep using aluminum, but we're looking at different types of matter that have different temperatures at which they change state. So melting point, sometimes referred to also as freezing point. This is where you're talking about the transition between solid and liquid states. And boiling point or condensation point, same thing. This is where you're talking about the change of state between liquid and gas. Okay, so solubility is another term. So typically when we're talking about solubility, we're usually referring to something dissolving into something else. Okay, so there's a term for that. So the substance that we're trying to dissolve is usually what we're talking about. And the liquid we're trying to dissolve it in is referred to as the solvent. So let's say I had powdered Kool-Aid and I'm trying to dissolve it in water. Water would be my solvent. So if we say the term soluble means that yes, that substance can dissolve. So I would say Kool-Aid powder is soluble in water. If something cannot dissolve, we use the term insoluble. So for example, a rock is insoluble in water, right? So when we say, so again, remember solubility is like the name of the property, but when we're actually using it to describe something, you wouldn't say solubility. You would say soluble or insoluble. So can it dissolve or not? Okay. Viscosity is referring to the flow of a liquid. So whenever we're referring to viscosity, it's for a liquid. And usually the thicker the liquid, the more viscous it is. So if it has high viscosity, that means that we're saying that that liquid has a very thick, it's a very thick substance, so it does not flow very easily. So an example of that could be honey or maple syrup or mustard or something. So if something has low viscosity, okay, low viscosity means that it's able to flow very easily. So for example, water has low viscosity, or it is less viscous. All right. Now, density was that other measurable physical property that I was referring to earlier on. So density is referring to essentially a comparative ratio between the mass of a substance and comparing it to the volume that it takes up. Okay, so just like melting and boiling point, density is very unique, meaning that all types of matter have different densities. So water has a different density than honey. That has a different density than wood or plastic or copper. Every type of matter has a different density value. Okay, and actually later on in this unit, we're going to look at density a little bit more in depth. If you're taking the AP prep class, so that's who I'm doing this recording for. So this lesson is also a grade 9 academic lesson. So, grade 9 academic, this is really all you would need to know for density. In the AP prep program, we are going to go into density calculations, and we're also going to do a lab on density. Okay, so density is referring to, if you look at the units, grams per milliliter. So we're looking at what is the weight of that substance compared to the amount of volume that it takes up. The higher the density, usually the more compact that type of matter is, the more densely compact the particles are, because it's going to be heavier in a smaller amount of space. Usually low densities indicate that you have a less compact substance. So I'll give you an example. Usually metals have a high density, but things that are lighter, such as plastics or rubber, different things like that, those typically have a lower density. They're less compact. Okay, but it's essentially a ratio between mass and volume. So just as an example, the density of water is 1 gram per milliliter. Now, actually, just as a comparison, let me look at copper's density, just to kind of give you something to compare it to in grams per milliliter. So copper, actually, this is a nice one to compare. Copper's density is 10 grams per milliliter. So just by looking at the comparison, copper is 10 times more dense than water. Okay, so that tells us that essentially there is 10 times the amount of particles in the same amount of space. So when you're looking at density, that's one way of identifying the substance because it's a unique measured property.